what's really happening on these construction sites in Florida and why they don't want American citizens on these properties. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Sarasota, Florida. On today's video, we're going to be walking around some of the most expensive and exclusive neighborhoods in Sarasota and taking a close look to the most reasonable way we can. What's up, bro? At the people in the work trucks, the people that are working, to get an idea of who exactly is working in all of these wealthy... Yeah, buddy! To see exactly who's working in these neighborhoods. So I'm really excited. This is a beautiful place. I work here all the time, but I never really get to slow it down and enjoy things. Look at the cars out here, y'all. You can definitely tell this is a money area just by looking at the cars riding through here. In fact, there goes a McLaren going that way. So I recently did a video talking about how, for the most part, in these like really wealthy areas is where most of the undocumented people work. And it made a lot of people very mad on our YouTube channel. Bro, look at those mangoes. Are you kidding me, bro? So I recently said on my video that it's in these really wealthy coastal communities where you have the most undocumented people working. And it made a lot of people really angry. So I kind of want to dive deeper into the topic of, you know, who exactly is working in these kind of more expensive neighborhoods. Like, here's a big house being built right here. Look at the amount of work trucks that are out here. Like, you can literally tell that there's a lot of people working just in these houses right here. You got some architects right here holding some plans. So no, yeah, this is definitely a type of place where there's a lot of people working, a lot of money moving. But the question is, who benefits the most in our society from undocumented workers? And well, you know, living in Southwest Florida, the answer to that's pretty obvious. Most undocumented workers are going to be working in places like this. So it's really the ultra elite wealthy who benefit the most from undocumented workers. And if you've lived in Southwest Florida, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, just look on this street here. Just between these 5 houses, there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 work trucks between 5 houses here. So obviously people that have a lot of money constantly remodeling their houses or knocking it down or building a bigger house. So yeah, it's a lot of money in these areas, more than you would expect anywhere else in the country. And Sarasota's wealthy. It's not as wealthy as, let's say, Naples, for example, or Palm Beach, but it's pretty wealthy. Okay, so the amount of people recognizing me here is just unreal. Like, a lot of people seem to know who I am in this little area. That's crazy. Now, obviously, these are some of the most beautiful and exclusive neighborhoods that exist anywhere. And living in a place like this has to be an absolute honor. There's beautiful neighborhoods throughout the entirety of the United States. The state of Florida has its fair share of gorgeous neighborhoods. And these islands right here are kind of like the pinnacle of it for the most part. I mean, there's a few places like Naples, Palm Beach, you know, like that have just a little bit more affluence, but Sarasota's pretty close to the top. And I'm sure most of you guys would agree. Yeah, it is true that there's a lot of undocumented people working here in my community, but we hire contractors, and well, it's really the contractors that bring people over, not us. So yeah, I mean, that's a very true statement. It is literally the contractors that bring people, not literally, like, you know, the homeowners. At the same time, I did live in Naples for about 20 years, and Naples is definitely far more affluent than Sarasota. And in Naples, I found the notion when I would work for homeowners in like really affluent communities like this, that they would pay really crappy. They were not really the best tippers, the best payers. I've worked for people that live in houses bigger than this, and they'll argue with you on the price, you know, and you're like, hey man, it's a flat fee. I don't like negotiate my prices. I mean, it's a flat fee. This is what it costs to do the job, and that's what it costs. Like there really isn't a negotiating of prices because, well, the prices are fixed. It costs what it costs to do the service. I don't charge more than what it's worth. I don't charge less. But I would work for people in like fairly affluent areas, and they'd always try to bargain with me on the price, like if my price wasn't already competitive enough. In fact, now that I look back on it, I should have been charging those people a lot more money. So it's just from my personal experience, when I've worked for very affluent people in places like this, they've never been the best paying people. It's always been like the normal working class person that always pays you the best. Now there's exceptions. I worked for a guy in Fort Myers Beach, and this guy gave me $100 bill on top of my pay. Every time I'd work for him, he would give me my check for the money I asked, but on top of it, he would always throw $100 bill. His house was really, really big. He had cool cars in the garage. This guy just valued my work ethic, had a lot of money, and wanted to reward me for being a good worker. That does not mean that rich people have to be, you know, like walk around lottery tickets for people. Not exactly. But there's a difference between, you know, being conservative, being reasonable, and outright being, well, exploitative. And as you guys know, my experience of living in Naples, Florida, which was at the time the richest community in the country, I'm not sure if it is anymore, but back when I lived in Naples, it was in fact the richest community in the entirety, like, of the country, like literally. And back then, I worked for people in houses, incredible properties. They never treated me right. They never really paid me right. I felt like they robbed me. And then who's in a better position to exploit people than people with money? I mean, they have the money, they have the power of acquisition, and they drive the biggest bargains. So unfortunately, that's just the reality. And it isn't like that just here. It's like that everywhere. I watch YouTubers out of Mexico that work in Mexico, and they say the same thing. Sometimes you go work for rich people thinking that because they got money that they're going to treat you better, and they are actually the most scammy, most finessing, most exploitative people. And I got more than one story of working for rich people and getting screwed by them, unfortunately, for lack of better terms. So am I saying that I hate you if you live here? No. Am I saying that you're an evil person because you have money? Not at all. I'm glad that you have this for yourself. In fact, I would rather be here than anywhere else. So, I mean, not taking what I'm saying out of context, but the reality is, for the most part, that when it comes to taking advantage of undocumented workers, nowhere else does it happen more than in places like this. Some houses here date back to the 50s, so this is kind of what houses used to look like on these islands. This is kind of what houses look like here. I think they're both beautiful. I like houses like this a lot. In fact, this reminds me of the older houses like in Marco Island. I'm not so much of a fan of this style. I do like this style right here. Not too much of a fan of styles like this. These are just too obnoxious for me, but some people like these styles of homes. Beautiful landscaping though, beautiful. Okay, I kind of like this one a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I could see myself living here. It's definitely not hating on people that have things. I'm glad you have it. And that's not what we're doing today. It's not about hating on you because you have something better than me. Absolutely not. I wish I was here myself. So, but what I'm trying to say is that for the most part, you know, areas like this, a lot of times when they hire people, a pool cleaning guy, whatever, yeah, it's the contractor that brings the people. But when you work for them privately, or when those contractors have to fight for those prices, what option do they have if they want to get the jobs? Florida is overall, has to be one of the most competitive places to work. I don't think, there's a guy up there. Guys up there. Florida is like the most competitive place to work. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere in the United States where it's harder to make a dollar. And part of, building all these houses in Florida, part of the growth here in Florida, all comes down to one single thing. And it's just, they couldn't have growth like this anywhere else. So when you look at what have been the fastest growing communities in the United States, let's see, Southwest Florida and Austin, San Antonio area. What do these areas have in common? For one, an exploitable labor force. I mean, all of this prosperity, growth, and building boom that exists down here has all happened because of one single thing. And that denominator, these guys right here working. So these guys are definitely Spanish for sure. They're talking Spanish. And they're Central American. We know most Central Americans are going to be undocumented. These guys right here doing landscaping. It's hot. It is hot out here. Nice truck. Pasa, muchachos. Buen solecito. Look at the view from this house back here. I mean, you can just see the ocean over there. Look at the view from these houses, guys. So here we are in like what I would call like just multi-million-dollar homes. And every one of these houses has like 3 or 4 undocumented people on the front lawn. The homeowners, surprisingly, in these areas, I mean, I stay off of politics on my videos. I mean, obviously right now, the biggest and only topic people care about is immigration. And I don't talk about immigration from a political perspective. I talk about it from a news and informative perspective. But, the obvious thing with this issue is that these areas here, if you go on the Florida map for voters, coastal communities like this are going to vote 95% Republican because of tax purposes. It has nothing to do with, and this is the misconception. Wow, that is gorgeous. Look at that house. Wow, what a beauty. Has nothing to do with, views or none of that. Has nothing to do with abortion rights or immigration. These people vote Republican because they're loaded and they don't want to pay taxes. And that's like the most obvious thing about Florida. And obviously for politicians, there's a lot for them to say. Oh, well, Florida's a Republican state because of our views. It's not because of views. If you meet these people, see their lifestyles. I mean, I Uber drive around here. I know people live in these houses. I know their dating parties and all their shenanigans. Like, you're not going to sit here and tell me none of that garbage. You might be able to pull the wool over somebody else's head, but you're not going to pull the wool over mine. People here vote Republican because of tax purposes, So once you get into these like multi-million-dollar houses here, these houses that are just, like 5 million and above, most are going to vote Republican because of tax purposes. And if Democrats offer them a better deal, they'd vote Democrat. Has nothing to do with political views. Has everything to do with taxes. They don't want to pay taxes. They like money. See, I kind of like these smaller homes like this. It just reminds me so much of the homes I used to see when I worked in Marco Island. It's all about taxes, baby. That's what it all comes down to, is rich people like their money. They don't care about left or right, blue or red, or pink or purple. These people care about money, okay? And when it comes to money, for them, that's the package they got to run with because it benefits them the most. And that's really all it comes down to in Florida. And the irony of this situation is that here you have an area that overwhelmingly votes Republican. I mean, there's probably nowhere in the United States where a neighborhood will vote 95% Republican. It doesn't exist. Like somebody might be 60 or 70% Republican. This out here is literally 95% Republican. And it's interesting that these are the areas where you have the most undocumented workers. And frankly, you don't have to like it. It's not about what you like. It's the truth. It's the way things are. I love the door on this thing. Look at the door on this home. Beautiful. Like, literally, if you wanted to find a neighborhood more beautiful than this, you would have to be in, like, Naples, maybe Mexico somewhere, maybe along the coast of Mexico. Now there is a beach here, and I don't know if it's a private beach or public, but there is, like, heading this way, a beach here, and I just don't know if there's public access to it or not. Obviously, back in here, these houses are not like your typical house. Like, these houses here are on like 10 acres on the beach, so I don't know if there's beach access here. But without a doubt, the irony of these neighborhoods is that most of these homes here in Florida are second homes, or third or fourth or fifth homes for people. So, you know, like, if I see a house like that, I'd be like, wow, I would be there all day long. Couldn't get me to leave out of it, you know? I have people deliver the food to me, so I wouldn't have to leave the house. But these are second or third homes. And I want to remind the people that live here on Lido Key that if your grandkids suck, or your ex-wife might take the money, if you just don't want to leave anything to your kids, hey, you know, reach out to me, email me. My email is on the main page, and just leave it under my name. Like, if your kids suck, you know what I mean? Like, if, let's say, your grandkids are horrible and your kids are greedy. Like, if you're rich and you own one of these properties, right? And your kids and grandkids are just waiting for you to die so they can take your stuff. You know what I mean? Like, take them off the will and put me on the will. I will cherish and love you like if you were my own daddy. So it's just a reminder to everybody who owns property here on Lido Key, or Siesta Key, or any key. You know, if your grandkids are horrible, you know, if your kids are just waiting for you to die, don't leave them crap. You know what I mean? They don't visit you. They don't care about you. Don't leave them crap. If your grandkids are horrible and your kids are just waiting for you to die, hey, don't leave them anything. Leave it to me and Katie. And trust me, we will blow right through it at an incredible rate. Your kids will hate your guts. So just to reiterate, one last public service announcement. If your kids are waiting for you to die and they simply just don't care about you, all you have to do is let me have your inheritance. Reach out to me and Katie, set it all up, and don't leave your kids crap. They're not going to appreciate it the way we will. And frankly, they're just waiting for you to die. You know, your kids are horrible. Your grandkids are even worse. Bunch of spoiled brats waiting for you to perish so that they can inherit what you have. Don't leave them crap. So if you're one of these wealthy people who knows your grandkids ain't crap, your kids ain't crap, hey, don't leave them anything. Hit me up, email me, and we will make the best out of whatever the crap you have left over when you die. Here I am, Uber driving people around for a living, trying to entertain every old white person I get, trying to be the best person I can in society. And here are your kids spending it on crap. Shake my head, don't leave them anything. Here's a beautiful new home being built. Kind of like the modern style home you'd expect here in Florida. When they move in, when they finish building this house, I feel like I'm ready to move in. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to make this home my home, but I can't because your kids are the ones who are going to inherit all your money, not me. But check it out, y'all. Fairly gorgeous out here. So without a doubt, I mean, the obvious is that nobody benefits from undocumented people more than people here, because they got a pool to build. You know, they got new houses to build. They got pools to build. They got landscaping that needs to get put in. And hey, it looks great. I mean, what? I'm definitely not hating on the situation. I'm glad you're able to do it. In fact, I wish I was able to do it. You know? But the reality is, and you know what, if I had money, I wouldn't want no white guy mowing my lawn. Or would I? I don't know. I would almost want a Mexican to do it. I just feel like it'd be done better. But that's the reality. Homie's just kind of hiding back there. It's all right, homie. I'm not under the porch. Are you good, man? The homie's just hiding behind that truck. Sarasota County coming through. Okay, the homie's like hiding behind the truck. And it's kind of like been really difficult to record in these areas because like people like, I don't want to scare people or ruin the day, but like people really do think that like I am a immigrant. And I'm not. I'm just a worker. Just like they are, really. We're both working for the greedy white man out here. But the reality is, if you really wanted to catch yourself some illegals, the place to start would be in a neighborhood like this. But if you are like a run-of-the-mill white guy in Nebraska or Kansas or something, just know this, dude. These people here vote Republican because of tax purposes. They don't care about immigration. In fact, nobody supports undocumented people more than they do. Why would the white guy that owns this house want to have somebody on their roof who's a U.S. citizen? So when he falls off, he can sue you. So when he comes to work drunk or high, he can slip on the roof and say he got hurt and then sue you. These rich people don't want that liability. And I feel like one of the biggest reasons why rich people are more propense to hire undocumented people is liability. And look, again, why is that palm branch just swinging like that? It's like left to right, left to right. Whether you like it or not, it all comes down to liability. These rich people don't want no white guy on their roof. It's too much liability. You're gonna show up drunk, you're gonna show up high, you're gonna slip and fall, and then you're gonna sue them. And they know the guy from Guatemala's not gonna slip and fall because he's undocumented. And if he slips and falls, it's on him, not on the homeowner. And whether you like it or not, one of the major reasons why rich people like these areas here don't want U.S. citizens on their properties is because of liability. Hey, you're too much of a liability, Billy, because you're always drunk. You're going to show up high. You're going to show up drunk. You're going to do a slip and fall, and then they're going to have to pay for you for the rest of your life. And if it's a little Juan from Guatemala and he slips and falls, they're going to push him in the back of a truck and take him to the hospital, and it's not going to be their problem. See, the problem with really what it really comes down to on why rich people don't want to hire regular people for working Americans, it all comes down to liability. These rich people don't want an American guy walking on their roof. Are you crazy? No, dude, like, you can pay for them, or look at this house, guys. Wow, this is like a castle. Greek themed. Wow. But no, you can't. You can't climb on that white person's roof. You're a liability to them. And this is what a lot of people just don't get about Florida. You got all these stupid YouTubers talking all this garbage. The reason why these rich people don't want to hire Americans is, one, because they have to pay them more, and the only thing they care about is money. And because they care about money, you're a liability to them. There's no chance in the world that these rich people are going to let a U.S. citizen who can slip and fall and sue them walk up on their roof. It's not going to happen. You're too much of a liability. You have too many rights. You have too many protections. You can sue them. You can get a lawyer. They don't want that. And whether you like it or not, that's the truth regarding this situation. Do you really think that these rich white people here on the coast are going to hire some freaking redneck from West Virginia or Kentucky to work on a roof for them? Have you lost your mind? There's not a chance in the world. There's not a chance in the world that these rich people here along the coast are going to hire Billy from West Virginia to climb up on that roof. Because Billy from West Virginia is going to slip and fall and get hurt. Bro, these rich people don't give a crap if you're an American citizen. They don't give a crap if you're from Guatemala, Venus, or Mars. The only thing they care about is being rich, having money, and one of the biggest things they can get away, that can threaten their ability to be rich and have money, is getting sued by people. And believe me, a lot of Billies from West Virginia have tried to slip and fall on these properties. You're not the first Billy from West Virginia that's tried to stage a slip and fall out here. 14% of the population in West Virginia is on food stamps. No other state in the country has a higher acceptance rate of food stamps. These are people that are used to milking the system. They think they got rights. I'm an American citizen, I got rights. Well, these people don't want people with rights on their job sites, because people with rights are going to slip and fall and get hurt. They want the little homie from Honduras who ain't going to have any rights. And whether you like it or not, that's what it comes down to. They don't want somebody with rights on that roof. Pasa, primo. Hablando, primo. Solecito. So yeah, pasa, primo. Solecito. So that's what it comes down to, guys. It's liability. You know, it's just, imagine these rich people. They want to drive around in a Bentley and have a mansion. One of the things that can get in the way of that is some stupid hillbilly from Alabama coming out here trying to pull a slip and fall on them. They don't want you with your rights and I'm an American citizen. No, dude, they don't want you out here. You're a liability, bro. You got too many rights. In every society that has ever existed, the rich exploit the poor. And the poor can't be having rights. The poor can't be having lawyers. And hey, you may not like what I'm saying, but it is how it is, man. What I'm telling you right now is 100% factual. What rich people don't want you to know about undocumented workers. They might vote Republican, but they don't give a crap. You think these people here, and when they hire people, it's guys like that with a $200,000 truck. It ain't you, Billy. It ain't you. So that's kind of what people that are kind of really wealthy don't want you to know about this situation. What they don't want you to know is that they don't want you. Because you're too much of a liability, Billy. Billy liability. You know what I'm saying? Billy the liability. Pasa, primo. Now, you know they're not going to hire you for that, Billy.